So if we can set things up in a way where you know what your income is each month and you know what your expenses are each month, and you can start to turn down the brain power it takes to figure that out, easy day.
Welcome to the Fiscal Foxhole, the podcast proving you don't need a degree in finance, just some grit, a game plan, and maybe a sense of humor. Your hosts are retired Army veteran Rob Moore and retired Marine veteran Omen Quelvog. Together, they'll help you dodge financial landmines, call in the air support on your savings, and laugh at the ridiculous money mistakes we've all made. If you can survive mandatory fund days, you can survive personal finance. Welcome to the Foxhole.
Happy hump day, everybody. Welcome back to the Foxhole. I'm your host for today, Rob Moore, and joining as always is my partner in the financial trenches, Omen Quelvog.
Hey, Rob. Glad to be here with you today.
Easy for you to say. Good to see you too, buddy. Yeah, I've just returned from a really long trip, and nice to be back in the cozy confines of the Foxhole, albeit muddy and dirty and full of spreadsheets, but I'm always happy to be back here with you. Speaking of, the couple days before this drops is May the 4th. So I know we're financial nerds. I assume you are a Star Wars nerd, correct?
Not really, actually. I mean, I kind of grew up with it a little bit, but I mean, I clearly understand May the 4th be with you. But yeah, not as big of a Star Wars fan as you might think.
Okay. It doesn't break my heart. My heart was broken by my kids that like Star Wars. But they like the new stuff, right? I tried to indoctrinate them. It's just different. That was my thing growing up in late 70s, early 80s. And I just realized, my kids, they're just going to have their thing. I can't try to recreate my thing with them. So, but we did watch the newer movies. Those were a lot of fun. They did like them. And of course, Star Wars World and Disney World's really cool.
The problem is that they redid your thing into something else, which is now their thing. So there's this disparity. Like, just come up with your own material. Don't redo Star Wars. Don't redo all these other things. Just come up with your own fresh material for your kids to be a fan of.
Well, that's a good point. Well, I'm a Star Wars fan, so I do recognize May the 4th be with you, but I'm a bigger fan of Mayo the Cinco be with you, which is coming up.
Association with food, of course.
Yeah, we're gonna be together on Cinco de Mayo this year,
yes,
which
we are.
I'm excited. Yeah, we have a long train ride in May the 4th, and on the 5th we'll be there hanging out at Mill MoneyCon in Mill MoneyCon 2026. I'm excited to be there. I think we have some plans for May 5th, but we'll be eager to partake in that. Hopefully, come back with some stories. Hopefully, safe enough to tell in the Foxhole.
I'm sure. See. I mean, it's a conference of military advisors. What could go wrong?
I know, yeah, just a bunch of nerdery and tequila. It sets itself up perfectly.
I wonder if we'll see anybody down there that listens to the Foxhole. That'd be interesting.
Oh, yeah, that'd be interesting. And I know we have plans to do some things for the Foxhole to be determined or to be announced later, another date, but we'll talk about that at another time. For today, we've got business to take care of. So let's get right into it, shall we? Let's hit this date in history. Today's date in history is on May the 4th be with you, but it is May 4th, 1864, which is Grant's Grand Offensive kicks off. This is Ulysses S. Grant crossed the Rapidan River with 120,000 Union troops, launching one of the most ambitious coordinated military campaigns in American history. Rather than retreating after attacking Lee's army, Grant ordered his men to push south. A first for Union commanders in the Eastern Theater. The two-day Battle of the Wilderness cost both sides roughly 29,000 casualties, but Grant's refusal to retreat marked a psychological turning point. It set off a brutal 6-week grinding campaign that would ultimately lead to the Siege of Petersburg and the end of the war. Really fascinating stuff.
It is. Rob, I don't know about you, but because we live in the area that we live in, I mean, we live right in the middle of this history. Everything that you just read out about the Rapidan, about Petersburg, all of these battles. I mean, even here in Fredericksburg, we had the battle for Fredericksburg. Where I run on the weekends is exactly where they were trying to cross the river between the Union and Confederate forces. Like, it is pretty awesome, actually, to be living right in the middle of this history.
It's everywhere. And I know this isn't Civil War, it's Revolutionary War, but right near my house, we go hiking a lot. there's the Bull Run Trail near the Occoquan River down here. And when you go through it, you just come across the Washington-Rochambeau Trail from the Revolutionary War. This is a little sign says you're on it. Like, like this is crazy that you're walking the exact same footsteps from way back when. But yeah, I'm as I get older, I think it's a rite of passage that you get more interested in this kind of stuff. You become more interested in the Civil War. I'm a typical dad that as he gets close to 50 starts to be more interested. But this was a really good one.
Yeah, I know from the War College's perspective, both as a captain and as a major, we were taking tours around to Gettysburg and all the various battle sites, just studying how that went down. I could not imagine being a soldier on the lines back in the day when you weren't exactly sure if the bullet coming out of your weapon was actually going to travel in a straight line. In fact, you knew it wasn't going to travel in a straight line. So yeah, just so much complexity, so much fog of war, the dense woods, just the terrain itself, just atrocious. I just could not imagine.
Yeah, amen to that. Just kind of puts your life into perspective and even more grateful for our country as it exists today. Yeah, it's a good look back. Yeah. With that behind us, it is time to move into this week's headline. This is a fun one. I'm excited to talk about this.
Is it fun?
Yeah.
Is it fun?
So. I am. I'm laughing. It's fun. I'm glad he got caught, but it is, I don't know. It's kind of fun because of the material in it, but I'm sure you've heard about it. If you're listening to this podcast, you're a military fan, I'm sure you've heard their headlines, but this week's headline comes to us from the Wall Street Journal and every other news outlet out there, but it is U.S. soldier charged with using classified information to bet on Maduro's ouster. Reading from an abstract from it, the federal authorities on Thursday charged a U.S. Army soldier who took part in the raid of Nicolas Maduro with using classified information to reap more than $400,000 on the former Venezuelan leader's ouster. The case against Van Dyke, who's a soldier, comes one day after Kalshi, a competitor to Polymarket, announced that it had fined and suspended 3 congressional candidates for betting on their own races. And I say this because it's fun. I don't mean it's fun because someone got in trouble, they were doing something illegal. I mean, I like talking about this because people are getting caught. I love it. I would love to see more public officials who have been participating in insider trading or this type of betting in handcuffs, because I imagine this has been going on for a long time. As we know, a lot of people with really successful investing portfolios that have access to inside information.
Number one, I couldn't remember if we actually had talked about this on the podcast when we started talking about Polymarkets and betting. We literally talked about this last week about the difference between investing and betting. And so whether or not we actually spoke about this on the podcast, I can just give it to you in this line. Who didn't see this coming? I mean, who seriously did not see this coming? This is the one time where I'll tell you that as a proud crayon eater, that I probably wouldn't have been able to figure out how to use intelligence to bet on Polymarkets anyway. So we'll just let the Army get ahead of us on this one, that we have a soldier that figured it out. But this guy clearly knew what he was trying to accomplish. He used the intelligence to create an account, make the bet, and then tried to backtrack and delete accounts and maneuver in ways to try to throw people off so that they wouldn't see it. He knew what he was doing was wrong.
You talked about investment versus gambling. This isn't either of those. This is cheating. So if you have inside information, if you know something about a company and you invest in the 100%. Company based on that information, that's illegal. That is insider trading. Yeah, so it's good to talk about. So most people don't have access to inside information with companies. But this, with Kalshi and Polymarket, it opens up a whole new world of you're betting on outcomes. So it could be anything, any stupid thing that you could bet on. It is gambling. Any stupid thing you could bet on, if you know the outcome before you do it, you're cheating. So just there's no free lunch. If it feels wrong, it's wrong. These markets are built, whether it be the investment market with equities or these markets, Kalshi, it's built on the idea that it's all the public information has been built into the pricing or the odds, as it were. So if you're playing on those odds and that public information, then you're fine. But if you do know that you're about to go on a raid to take out a foreign leader and you bet on that, then that's definitely illegal. And I'm glad he got caught. And I'll just hammer home one more time. I hope everybody who participates in any type of insider trading, especially when it comes to the military and the government, hope they get caught as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that fun and nonsense behind us, it's time to get into the meat of the episode. Omen, I failed to tease what we're doing today at the beginning of the episode, but I'm excited to dive in today because this is part 2 of the series we launched last week about the symptoms of financial health or despair or failure, however you want to put it. Last week, we talked about the symptoms of financial failure. And this week, I'm happy to be hosting the symptoms of financial success. It's a lot more fun to talk about. But so today we're going to talk about the top 5 signs that things are going well. Again, this is built on the idea that sometimes people go one way or another and they can do it by accident. You can go into financial failure by accident, and go into financial wealth and prosperity by accident, because it all just depends on the behavior that you're participating in. Now, we don't want you to do anything by accident. That's why we do what we do. We want you to plan and make decisions and be aware of your finances. We preach about that often. But if you're one of those people that maybe has, not been doing things intentionally, there are some warning signs or encouraging signs that you might be doing things the wrong way or the right way. Well, today's all about the right way. So last week, just a quick recap, we talked about a bunch of different things about symptoms of financial failure, highlighted, by a couple of the main points that revolved around avoiding looking at your situation or understanding your situations, or just watching your savings decrease or your credit card increase. So if you haven't heard that one yet, maybe pause this one, go back and listen to that one. And just a spoiler for today, the symptoms of financial success are largely just the opposite of last week.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure why we're having an episode right now. We're about to just close the show out, right?
Right. That wraps things up. Thanks for listening. Go back and just do the opposite of the last episode. Now, we do want to talk about the symptoms and why they're good. So we're just going to list them off one by one. Last time, have some fun conversation about it. So symptoms of financial success. Point number 1, you check your accounts without dread. Come on, give it to me. Give me a hard time. I know you're going to give me a hard time. Go for it.
Of course I am.
Yeah.
Because I've already heard your story, right? Like, not only do you not check your accounts without dread, you just check your accounts all the time. In fact, I know that you checked your accounts before this episode, and you're going to check your accounts one more time after we're done recording here. Like, it might actually be up on your screen right now. I'm not sure. You just looked over there, didn't you? You just looked.
Maybe. I did check this morning. I don't check I just check in the morning. And I turn on every light switch off and on 3 times before I check my accounts. I like it. It's a nice morning routine with my coffee. It's just what I've settled into. But you're right. I mean, it's a little obsessive. And if someone doesn't do it every day, we would never suggest someone, you have to do it every day. It's my routine. But the point, I think, with this one is that you are aware of your situation. And change the record, right? Like, how many times do we talk about awareness? It's a point you brought in a long time ago, and we've talked about it ever since.
This actually speaks to maybe the budget meeting that you have every week or so with your partner or with your accountability partner. That is, you just open up your accounts and you're not afraid to do so. You know pretty much what's already there because you know what you spent, and you already know what you plan to spend anyway. And you know if there's any large expenses that come up, you're not afraid to open up your account and say, you know what, maybe this is an emergency fund thing, or maybe we can cash float this from somewhere else that we were already planning to spend. But at any given time, you're not afraid to open up your accounts. That's really the point here, is that there's no fear there.
I'm reminded of something I heard a long time ago, where how do you know if your garage is clean if you're not afraid to open the front door or to open the garage door? If you're not afraid to open it up, then it's probably clean enough, or clean enough for you. Now, this is different because obviously we're not going to be sharing our accounts with your whole neighborhood, nor should you. But I think it just kind of points to how you feel about it. Like, are you afraid to open up and look and see what's inside? If you dread it, or if you know there's bad news waiting for you, then of course that's a symptom of financial failure. So we're talking about the other side. Like, no fear, just open it up and it is what it is, and you're probably fine with it.
I think that's a great analogy. I'd actually take that to your closet, right? So what do you do whenever you're preparing for guests to come over to your house? You scramble everything together, you throw it in the closet, and then boom, your house looks super clean, right? But if they were to open up your closet door, or maybe you don't want to open up your closet door because you know what's going to happen? All this stuff is going to fall out. It's completely in shambles in there, packed to the ceiling, packed to the gills. It's a complete mess. I think you could probably say the same thing about people's checkbooks or their credit card statements, that it could be a complete mess in there. But as you said, if you're okay with just opening up the garage door and you're like, man, you got a clean closet, you got a clean garage, like that looks great. You're proud of it almost.
Yeah. The challenge for me doing that is just moving all the skeletons to get everything in there when I clean up. I will say this one thing to round off kind of this point is, you might think, well, if everything's fine, do I really have to keep checking it? And one good thing about doing this is you can stay on top of any errors. I can't tell you how many times, due to my kind of obsessive nature, I do spot errors in transactions that maybe they were charged twice for something, or a transaction didn't go through that I was expecting to. So it just helps you stay on top of that to make sure that those day-to-day operational expenses are accurate.
Rob, can I add one more thing?
Sure.
I know you said you wanted to round this out, but I was actually thinking about this when you introduced this segment about me and you about to have our first domestic, like our real domestic.
What's that?
Do you know what a domestic is?
It's
maybe. An argument.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it's possible to accidentally walk into wealth. And I think even how you just shaped that last statement of, well, if everything's in good shape, why do I got to check it? Well, if you didn't check it, then it's likely that things are going to start to come off the rail. Like, it does take some amount of work, even if it's checking it for 5 minutes a week, it takes some amount of work to make sure that the train is still on the tracks. And I don't think that that's accidental, that's deliberate.
I think we can agree on part of that. I still hold by that you can accidentally fall into wealth, because the financial behaviors underlying wealth accumulation, spend less than you make over a period of time, and just investing regularly and saving. Like, I know that sounds intentional because we're putting money with TSP 401k, but I'm talking about folks that, like, they don't really look, and all of a sudden they have a huge pile of cash saved up. That's kind of what I'm talking about. That is still kind of going off the rails, though, to your point, because they're not being intentional. They're not doing something with it. They're not maybe investing it. They're not making it align with their values and goals. So that's another type of failure. It just happens to be the type of failure that's ready to be optimized. Does that make sense?
I disagree.
I even tried to come halfway.
Nope. No compromise.
Perfect. Okay, fine. All right. Well, fair enough. We could talk about that another time, because that's not part of this episode, but nice try. Speaking of off the rails. All right. With that rounded out as poorly as we did, here is point number 2. Our second symptom of financial success is an unexpected expense is annoying, but not catastrophic. Oh, and this is what the emergency fund is for that we preach about. Right. The step one of 3 of the savings cascade is establishing the emergency fund to be prepared for unexpected expenses. So if you're the type of person that maybe a tree needs to be taken down or something like that, that tends to be kind of a large unexpected charge. Or maybe your car finally dies and you got to bite the bullet and buy another one or whatever. If that's catastrophic to you, then you don't have the means in place. You haven't done the steps ahead of time to prepare yourself for that quote unquote emergency. Whereas if you have the savings in place to do it, then you don't worry about it. First of all, you don't worry about it. And second of all, it's not catastrophic when it happens.
Yeah. I mean, this really has to do not only with kind of the cash flow, the logistics of having cash there, but also just your state of mind. Nobody is saying that anything that you just list off is not annoying, and that you probably need a few minutes to go outside and yell at the clouds like you said a couple weeks ago. But being able to have that buffer there between you and that emergency, just there's such a peace about that, knowing that you can quite literally write a check or send the Venmo or whatever it is that you're going to do to pay for the thing. And yes, you might have to refill that emergency fund, but it's a lot easier because it was already there. And now you don't have this debt payment that you have to make instead of putting money towards an emergency fund. It's you're containing the emergency to just that emergency, just that event.
Money can't solve all problems, but it can solve some. If you've saved enough to have enough in place to do this, then just like you said, that you're like, okay, I've got this. This is what it's for, and I can pay for this. And again, I could be annoyed by it, but I've got the money to solve this problem and take care of what I need to take care of. I'm curious because even though I've got emergency funds in place, when things like this happen, I tend to try to cash flow it the best I can. I have this weird thing, and it's an emotional, I think, failure that I have, that I built an emergency fund, and then when it comes time to use it, I don't always use it. Instead, I'll go back to like whatever my operational account, or go into my budget that I look at every day and try to cash flow this expense the best I can over a longer period of time.
I don't think you're all that weird. I mean, I think natural savers have a tendency to do just that, is to try to cash flow it first and not touch the emergency fund. And that's okay. I would say the one side of that, though, that becomes problematic is if you're making your family miserable because you wanted to cash flow that thing, and like you just canceled Disneyland trips because you're like, well, we had this emergency pop up. So, but Dad, you got $30,000 of cash just sitting right there. Pay for it. Like, well, that's probably not an emergency. I could pay for this thing, right? Like, don't be ridiculous about it. But the one thing I wanted to point out too is that an emergency fund is something there, especially for large unexpected expenses. This is a lifetime's event, a lifetime's asset. We talk about military retirees with a pension and disability and then Social Security and then maybe some required minimum distributions. Like, that's a lot of income coming in. Ultimately, our emergency fund, we've talked about this before, is there to protect you from your own lack of income, but it's also there for a buffer to large expenses. So when you have that guaranteed income, then really all you need is for those large unexpected expenses. This is not something that's going to go away for your lifetime. You will always have some kind of potential large unexpected event. So keep it there, get comfortable with it, get comfortable using it, I would say.
That last point is exactly why I brought this up, because I brought it up kind of like it's a behavioral problem I have. And it's not a bad one. It's okay. Now, I will say, I do try to cash flow. I'm not suicidal because I would never cancel a trip to Disney World. I mean, I know better. My family would kill me if I did that. But it's a good thing to be aware of, because I wonder if I get to retirement, if I'm going to be one of those that has trouble spending. It's kind of the same type of thing where if you're saving into an emergency fund and you've worked so hard to build it and now it comes time to use it, it's going to feel weird to use it because you did so much to get it. But as far as my tendency to cash flow it, I think it's similar, because if you think about it, if I have a target amount of $20,000 in an emergency fund, and I spend $5,000 on a tree expense, then what am I going to do for the next, handful of months? I'm going to cash flow, try to get that back up to that target amount, right? So yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I'm like, well, if I can just cash flow it, then it's kind of the same thing. But I know deep down, to your point, I've got that behavioral problem inside me. So somebody I need to reckon with. Yeah. Hi, my name's Rob, and I have a behavioral problem.
Hi, Rob.
This episode is brought to you by the Military Financial Advisors Association.
MFAA is a global network of independent, fee-only fiduciary financial advisors who specialize in serving military families.
And we're not just highlighting it. Omen and I are members ourselves, so we know firsthand what they stand for.
That's right. Every member of MFAA is either active duty, a veteran, or a military spouse, so they truly understand the unique financial challenges that come with military life.
Plus, every advisor must hold or be actively pursuing the CFP designation, which is the gold standard in financial planning.
So let's put that together. When you choose an advisor with MFAA, you are getting a professional who won't sell you a product, who knows the military life, and will plan using your hard-earned military benefits.
Whether you're navigating a step out of the military after 4 years, a military retirement, or a transition into a work-optional lifestyle, MFAA advisors speak your language.
Visit militaryfinancialadvisors.org to find an advisor who fits your mission.
MFAA, real advice, real experience.
This advertisement is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. All investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. Information and opinions provided within the Fiscal Foxhole do not necessarily reflect official positions or opinions of the Military Financial Advisors Association or its members. Consult a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions.
All right, our third symptom of financial success is you roughly know what you spend each month. I like the word roughly. I like that. I like it as roughly because you got to be careful locking yourself into a specific amount, but you're generally aware of your expenses. We've talked about this so many times that knowing your expenses is one of the most critical pieces of your financial plan.
When you are locked into what you're spending, well, I guess first and foremost, what your income is. And when you know where things are going for the most part, like they're really, even when you have months where it's like, okay, well, we got 4 birthdays this month, Christmas is next month, we've got, all these other things to plan for. Usually those are built up in like funds set aside for those things. Like, I don't know what you do for Christmas, Rob, but like saving a couple of $100s a month leading up to Christmas so that you have that money sitting there. Ultimately, it doesn't really have an effect on your monthly cash flow. Your monthly cash flow stays relatively normal because you've saved up extra money to pay for Christmas and birthdays and all the other pop-ups that come up. So roughly month to month, I would say your cash flows probably stay generally the same once you get it all locked in.
Yeah, if you can identify what you talked about as goals, like those kind of special frequent events, Christmas, holidays, birthdays, what have you, that cost a little bit more extra, like you're going to spend an extra however much this month because this is the month we always go on vacation. That's another one. I like that if you set those aside, and I don't mean set them aside like ignore them. I mean set them aside as a separate item in your budget. Then you look at everything else. It tends to kind of stay the same, generally around the same window, maybe $500 to $1,000 a month is what we tend to find. Do we want to tell them about our argument we had last week?
Sure, let's go.
Well, we can't get the
this
weeds.
really wasn't domestic.
This wasn't. We did. We had a domestic for our listeners. I don't think we should get too much in the weeds because it involves planning software, how we use our planning software with our clients. And we had a really interesting issue that we identified between us, that we look at our clients' expenses a little bit differently, or we look at them, I track them in a different way that you track them. And we had a pretty long phone call about it. And I don't think we came to an agreement at all.
Yep, I don't think there's resolution. And I think that this goes in a weird direction because I actually consider myself more optimistic and I consider you more pessimistic. So I thought that the outcome of this would actually be a little bit different. But in short, in the planning software, after you put in expenses, the planning software does one of two things with excess cash flow at the end of the year. It either assumes that you spend it or it assumes that you save it. And my view is that I think most everybody I have ever spoken with underestimates how much they spend. So
that is true.
I assume that if there's excess cash flow that we have not planned into your saving, it's spent. It's gone. Like I'm not going to assume that you've saved that.
Never mind the fact I said we weren't going to get into the weeds. Apparently we are. You're going to and then on top of that, you're going to make your case. You're just now.
Yes,
I have to
of
make
course.
my case.
Now you have to make your case.
I do.
Like you brought it up.
It's not. Hey, look, it's not about me being optimistic. It's about me being accurate. How about that? Shots fired, brother. Yeah,
accurate. Okay,
yeah, I do. Because I think my argument, my side of this, and yours does make sense. Now let me say that, like the opposite, I get kind of what you're doing because you have a line item in your plans that are like, okay, we are saving this much in a taxable account. So you're kind of like itemizing the leftover amount. Whereas I want to be more careful about, hold on, but let's know exactly what we're spending. Because to me, kind of estimating it, and you're right, most people underestimate. I would rather get a hold of what we're actually spending and not just assume whatever's left over, because that's what we're spending. So if we're saying this is our expenses and then all this other leftover just happens to get spent, to me, that resonates as then I'm not doing it accurately. I'm not capturing it. So I fall more, if I could use your own sword against you, awareness of spending expenses. That's my side of the argument. So we've come down to it. We're finding, I think a lot of planners actually tend to use your side. So I'm still open to the idea of shifting this around a little bit, but I don't think I'm going to let go of being hyper focused on being accurate of expenses. But more to follow on that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there's a reason why the software offers two different options. It's not because either one of them are right or wrong. It's just how you think about money and how you plan for in this case, for clients. But I mean, ultimately, those are the conversations that we're having with people about getting as accurate as we can in either case of spending, saving, and planning for goals. So yeah, but I thought that was a fun one. And we can bring this back around to knowing how much you spend each month, because that is a rather large lever within the planning software. And I think this goes right back into our point of, if you roughly know how much you spend each month and it's accurate, it makes it really easy to then plan around that. Really easy.
You said it's a large lever. I say it's the largest one.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know, like maybe aside from the invested assets you've already built, that's a big one. But going forward, nothing moves the lever more than adjusting expenses. So yeah, I know we both value that a lot. I just happen to value the more accurate way of doing it. I'm the host. I get the last word. All right. That was fun. Anyway, point 4, moving on. The fourth symptom of financial success is you're not waiting on the next paycheck to make things work. I've already made plenty of enemies from the last episode when I talked about the folks that go to the commissary on payday, so I'll leave that to the side. But this to me resonates about having a budget and being accurate with your budget, understanding, back to point 3, what your expenses are and creating a budget going forward looking, and you're accurate about that. So the day-to-day expenses or what you're spending every month doesn't really seem to bother you.
I love this one because there's different levels, I think, of how well you could do this. I've recently got into how do people better shape their cash flow when you're getting paid every 2 weeks, or you're getting paid on a commission based where your salary is a little bit lumpy. Sorry, I said that wrong. Where you're getting commissions, right? It's not a salary, but your income is lumpy, is what I meant to say. And so playing around with this, started to, even on a military. So we had this conversation with some retirees who are like, I get paid on the 1st and the 15th, but when you retire, you get paid on the 1st. That's pretty much it.
If you're withdrawing from IRAs, right?
Well, sorry, I'm joking. Retire from the military, right?
I know. You're talking about the pension. Yeah. I mean, I even thought about this with, I'm sorry to hijack your point, but like, even if you're taking distributions to an IRA, you might be taking a distribution once a year.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. That's a huge budgeting task. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah. No. But I mean, the point is all the same, actually, is because, one of the tactics that you can use in this scenario is to put that money away into savings, whether it's a high yield savings account, or you can start to rehearse this actually in the military where you get a half a paycheck ahead, put that in your savings account, and then pay yourself the full month's pay on the 1st. On the 15th, that paycheck hits your savings account, and now you're just moving in that cycle. That's just a way of doing things. You can do the same thing if you get paid 26 times a year, or if you have some kind of lumpy income. But like, these are tactics that you can use that kind of time back to our point of, you're not waiting on the next paycheck to make things work. You know what your expenses are. You're making your income work for you because you have the margin there, and you're really, really comfortable with it.
I love the way you took this, because inherent in this point, I think anybody would just think, okay, well, just smoothing out your budget over 15 days or a month. Okay. You took it from the income side of things too, which I think is really interesting. And then you scaled back and looked at it from even a larger picture, 6, 7, 8, 12 months, trying to smooth out income, or the perceived income, or make it feel like income if it's coming from unorthodox sources or pensions or IRAs or lumpy income, et cetera. So that's a really great point. I think you summed that up really nicely. I feel bad for body slamming you so hard in point number 3 that I'm just going to let you have that.
Bro, I'm telling you, I am all about simplicity,
Yeah.
and we are all creatures of habit. So if we can set things up in a way where you know what your income is each month and you know what your expenses are each month, and you can start to turn down the brain power it takes to figure that out, easy day. Easy day.
Man, well said. That's the end of the episode. Like you just closed it out really nicely. No, but we have one more point to get to. Point number 5.
All right,
The
let's go.
fifth symptom of financial success is, quote, I'll deal with it when I make more money, isn't a phrase you use anymore. This is more about you are really realistic about your situation, right? You know what you make. Again, it's a reoccurring theme. You know how much you make, you know how much you can spend, and you budgeted and you're tracking your income, and you're just realistic about what that means and what you can do with that and the goals that you can build that align with your values.
It absolutely has to do with contentment and focus. What are the things that are important to you? What are your priorities? And then can your income realistically achieve those priorities? Because from there, you can start to make decisions. Do you actually need more income? Do you need less income? I think that's where I like to go with things more often than not is, can you make less income because you can then get more back in your life, usually in terms of time, right? Like if you don't have to work as much in a paying job, that gives you freedom to work somewhere else or to experiment with something else, be curious about another career or whatever you want to do. But being realistic with your goals helps you to be realistic with your income.
This reminds me of a chapter of the book. I wrote an ebook called The Principles of Prosperity. You get on my website and download it. But it talks about starting with values and then moving to goals. And the reason why I bring this up is because if you've got your values in place, so let's say, well, that's not really a value. It's just, well, it does align with values. Let's say fishing with your kids. It helps with this scenario. Let's say like fishing with your kids is really valuable time for you, and that's something that's important. Now you can use that value in the goal of fishing with your children, and you can scale that pretty big or pretty low, right? We can talk about Antarctic expeditions to deep sea fishing in like the Northern Atlantic or something versus going to your local recreational Army Corps lake and, renting a rowboat and getting out there or just casting from the shore, right? And everything in between. So identifying what your values are, and then the goal within can be on a very large scale and still achieve the same value or still resonate with the same value, but being realistic within what you can achieve financially, right?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you nailed it with fishing with your kids. That's the goal. How you fish with your kids, whether it's on a yacht or on a dinghy, does that matter? And can your income, what can your income actually support?
Right.
I
because
love it.
It doesn't have to be insane. Yeah, exactly. So I had a better example in the book. I totally forgot. I totally mailed it in. I had AI write the whole thing. No, I don't remember the example, but it's more of an actual value than that. Well, fishing with your children is kind of a goal, but I think you get my point. Like identify what's important, the goal, and then spread it out on a scale and see where you land. Yeah. So, Omen, I liked this as the fifth point because this started to kind of tie in everything else we've talked about. And all these are related. But we did come up with kind of one bonus extra thing that kind of brings everything into the fold under one idea. And it brings into awareness, understanding your situation, knowing what you can achieve, and being realistic about your income and knowing your expenses. And that is our bonus point, number 6. You stopped caring about what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, that is a mic drop bonus point.
That's almost, this should have been point number 1. And then
it probably should.
And we could have done 5 subtopics or sub points to this point.
Yeah. You have shifted from the scarcity mindset, which, by the way, it spans the spectrum of poor to rich people, right? If you are poor in the scarcity mindset, you're just constantly spending paycheck to paycheck, or maybe more than that, trying to get things that you'll never be able to achieve. And if you're rich in the scarcity mindset, you're just holding on and hoarding on to money. Just afraid that you're going to lose it all. But this shift to abundance where what you have is enough and being content with that. So this is probably a bad example, but my dad doesn't listen to the podcast, I don't think, but I might be getting disinherited here shortly. But But I used to think when I was a kid, my dad still does, he wears suspenders, right? Like with pants that don't fit, and Al Borland, from Home Improvement, the flannel shirt. Yeah. So that's my dad. And I used to be pretty embarrassed, like walking around with him like, Dad, come on, man. And then you get to this point like, how is it that your parents get to this place where they just don't care what people think anymore? And you think, man, I wonder if I'll ever get there. And this is it right here. Like you've gotten there. You've stopped looking down the street at like what everybody else is doing at the big yacht that somebody else is taking their kids fishing on, or a house or a truck, or there's so many things that we could be looking at. It doesn't matter.
First of all, your dad sounds like my type of guy. It sounds pretty awesome. But have you seen the cartoon of the I guess the guy in the limo, and then the guy next to him in a town car that's being driven around, and he looks over and he's like, oh, I wish I had a limo. Yeah, and then the next to him is a guy driving in a really nice car, brand new car, and he looks over at the town car. It's like, oh, I wish I had a driver. And then next to him is a less nicer car, not a luxury car, and he's like, oh man, I wish I had a luxury car. And then next to him is a guy in a beat up car. He's like, man, I wish I had a new car. Next to him is a guy on a bike. He's like, oh man, I wish I had a car. Next to him is a guy walking on the sidewalk. Man, I wish I had a bicycle. It's just, it's the scale of comparison.
Never ends.
Yeah, it never ends. And it's the same emotion for all of them, right? And they haven't reached that understanding that your father achieved long ago and that you and I are just coming into. I think it just takes time in life experience and wisdom to become the annoying father. I'm there. I took my daughter on a trip this weekend, and I could barely keep up. I could just tell she just wanted to like walk 20 paces ahead of me. It's just kind of the way she is, but it's kind of the same idea. And it's totally fine. It's the way it is. It's the gift that only time can give if you're lucky enough to receive it.
What a way to wrap up the episode.
Yeah. Just one more thing. We talked about happiness, which have divided by what you want. Work on both sides of that. Financial planning is about, obviously the numbers is going to get you what you want and understanding, but being happy with what you have and grateful for what you have, it's an infinite multiplier of happiness, and something I think is just worth mentioning every time. So with that, I think we've done it. Part 2, the financial symptoms. Like I said, again, go back, listen to part 1 for all the doom and gloom. If you're sick of all the optimism that you heard in this side. But for today, it's time to move on to our trivia segment. This is our weekly trivia challenge between the two of us for the prize of pride and a cheap trophy. This year, we're keeping our results behind lock and key. So if you've been keeping track of how many questions Omen has gotten right and how many I've gotten wrong, then you'll be in luck by the end of the year as you track things as we go along for a challenge of who got the most questions correct. But for this week, it is now your time to ask me a question.
All right, Rob. Last week you asked me a fairly challenging question and also a somewhat depressing question about people's net worth and how many households within the U.S. by percentage are in the negative net worth. So not a very fun question. Let's try this one out for size. According to financial wellness research, people who regularly track their spending, even casually, are significantly more likely to report feeling in control of their money. But here's the question. What percentage of Americans say they don't follow a budget at all? Is it A, 18%, B, 41%, C, 67%, or D, 54%?
Oh, I see what you did there. You didn't go to C. Didn't even go in order. I was thinking a little over 50%, so I kind of like D already. But I guess my question would be is, for those that track their expenses, are they tracking their expenses accurately like I do, or are they just winging it like you do?
Wow.
I had to get one more in. All right, so that follow a budget, and I think it's D. I'm just going to say D because, again, the types of people that I talk to about this, it tends to be about half, it feels like, where they're just like, well, we've been going into financial trouble, or we have all this money sitting there because we're not aware, we haven't been tracking it, and this is the trouble we're in, or this is the situation where we now have to figure out what to do with this money. So It feels about like 54%, and I was thinking a little over 50, so I'll go with D, 54%.
You're really going to go with a number of the people that you just talked to.
Yeah, I don't know how else to measure it, right? I don't talk to the people I don't talk to. How about that?
All right. That's up to you.
All right.
Last chance. Change your answer?
Nope, D, 54%.
All right. Well, Rob, your answer is correct.
In your face.
I'm about to give you an answer E here shortly.
Yeah, probably deserve it. Yeah. Well, in your defense, last week was challenging and kind of dismaying, being 10%. This one, I think is kind of equally bad because I know I say you can accidentally go either way, but you're right. More often than not, people tend to fall into financial trouble when they don't budget. They don't follow a budget. Yeah. So yeah, not only can a budget help you optimize, it can save you from tragedy. So yeah, stay out of that 54%, open your accounts, get into the 46, get a budget. All right. Well, with that thrilling victory, I'm going to walk away from this podcast shortly and let Omen take it away with practical takeaways. But before I do, I encourage you, please, once again, share this podcast with people who you think might enjoy the content or just point and laugh at the silly shenanigans that we participate in every week. Leave us a rating and please email us at fiscalfoxhole@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. With that, Omen, what are our takeaways from today?
All right, Rob, key takeaway number 1. Insider trading isn't just a Wall Street problem. If you're using non-public information to make money, whether it's stocks, prediction markets, or anything else, it's illegal. The uniform does not change that. Key takeaway number 2, your gut isn't telling you something's wrong anymore. It's telling you you're on track. And that confidence, that's not luck. That's what building good habits actually feels like. And key takeaway number 3, contentment isn't settling. It's knowing the difference between what you actually want and what you've been convinced you should want. Bob's truck looks great in the driveway. Your financial plan looks great on paper. Only one of those is actually winning.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions you'd like answered on the show, please send us a note to fiscalfoxhole@gmail.com. If you heard something today that you'd like to discuss further, or you just want to dig deeper into your own financial game plan, both Rob and Omen are accepting new clients and always happy to chat. You'll find the links to their websites or to book appointments in the show notes. Rob Moore and Omen Quelvog are both registered investment advisor representatives. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. While they are both advisors, they are not your advisors. Therefore, nothing you hear on Fiscal Foxhole should be taken as specific investment, legal, or tax advice. For guidance tailored to your situation, please consult a qualified professional who understands your individual circumstances.
Oh, and I'm glad this was a shorter episode because I sit here with the sores that I acquired from 12 hours of flying this weekend, Friday to Sunday.
Hours.
Yeah. Did you do college visits with your boys? Like on the road? No? Okay. Well, my daughter, she does an activity that requires her to go kind of look at special schools. She has to kind of narrow it down. But my wife's taken her on most of them. But I got to do this one, and I think I got to do it because it was in Seattle. Yeah. So, yeah, early Friday we flew
we don't
out.
Mind Seattle.
What's that?
We don't mind Seattle. We've got family over there.
It's really nice. She liked it a lot. I liked it too. We flew out Friday morning early, but when we landed, I did turn to her after, it's like 6 hours in the flight. And we landed, I'm like, that's your first gauge on whether or not you want to move out here and go to school, is because this is what you experience when you coming home for the holidays or the summer, or anytime you want to come home, it's going to be this flight. So that was the first kind of reality check, but it was awesome. Now the school treated her right. She got some special treatment. It was cool. And she was in love. It was University of Washington. and it's kind of really unique for what she does. So I think she was really charmed by that. But I'd never been to Seattle, and we had a blast eating out.
It's gorgeous out there.
Pike Place. Well, I was going to leave that for the last. Unbelievable. Mount Rainier. I had no idea.
Yep.
No clue. From the campus, they built the campus where the long promenade or one of the quads or long, I don't know what, actually you can see the mountain very clearly from the campus in between buildings. It's kind of in a fountain in front of it. It's a whole thing there. And everywhere we went, where's Rainier? Where is it? We kept finding it. I cannot believe how beautiful that mountain is and how well you can see it from, it's like 60 miles away.
The problem with Mount Rainier, and you'll hear this from everybody around there, is it only appears probably a third of the year because of all the cloud cover. So very fortunate that you got a good weekend there, but quite often it is not visible.
We did see it the whole time. It was mid 60s and sunny the entire weekend.
Nice.
So we did not get the typical Seattle experience, but we did the Space Needle. I peed my pants for the enjoyment of my daughter on the Space Needle. She got on the, have you been up there where they have the glass floor?
Have I? I can't recall. I don't think so.
Well, there's two levels. The top level where you go out and you can stand outside. Obviously, there's glass in front of you, but and I'm uneasy. I'm not good with heights, and I do not like the fact there's nothing under you. When you're standing out there, it's uneasy. Well, that's exaggerated by the floor underneath that where you go, and there is actually a glass floor. It's a revolving floor, and it's glass.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I was not handling that very well.
Dude, have you seen that? Have you seen there? I forget where the video is. Maybe it's China or somewhere in Asia, where there's something very similar where you walk out onto this glass panel.
Yes.
And every once in a while, it does the little noise of glass cracking, and it shows the cracks in the glass, and people go straight to the floor. Like it is hilarious.
It is not hilarious. I can't watch that. I hate it. I did that for my daughter. I was back on solid ground. I'm very happy. It reminds me of I did the St. Louis Arch with my when they were a lot younger. I took them up in the St. Louis. That was awful. I hated that. And it was beautiful, but the fact there's nothing underneath you. I can go on the Empire State Building all day. I can do stuff like that. There's a whole building underneath you. St. Louis Arch, Seattle, the Space Needle, nothing underneath you. I was mortified, but it was actually a really great moment. We got good pictures. We did Pike Place, original Starbucks, had to do it. We had a lot of fun, but I'll tell you what my daughter took out of it was this experience at the college and meeting people and the officials that met her and took her around. Man, for me, I got a year left with her, man. It was
growing up.
It's heartbreaking. Yep. And I soaked every moment with her, dinner, coffee, just walking around with watching her kind of, like I said, she's very independent. So watching her do her thing, it was bittersweet. I'll never forget.
That'll be tough.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that'll be tough having her 3,000 miles away.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled. She hasn't decided, but it's down to I think 3 or 4. But that's a big one. There's a good chance she'll probably end up there. So more to follow. But I get one more year with her. But it was wonderful. So
better go buy a bass boat or something. Go fishing with her all the time.